This is the Distracted and Disorderly podcast. I'm Chris, and this is Kayla.
This is Kayla.
We're just fucking idiots.
This
Let's
is
go.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Distracted and Disorderly podcast. This is a special episode. We have Soulseekers Paranormal, New England, coming in to join us in just a minute. This episode's going to be dropped, Friday the 13th?
Did you just lift up your shirt to show people your stomach?
I am fucking jolly. But, what do you think?
Santa Claus is way better than you. Don't compare yourself to fucking Santa Claus.
Santa ain't even fucking real, so.
What?
Santa's not real. Tell your kids.
Who was I writing letters to?
Did you always get what you wanted?
I was a bad child. I should have just eaten coal for fun. That would have been better off. Anyways,
Soulseekers Paranormal, New England. Their link will be in the description for this episode. You'll be able to find them that way. I'm going to have them all drop their socials before we get off anyway. But, Kayla, you ready to bring
them in? Pay attention. Do I want to bring them in?
No, I mean, yeah, you want to, well, we're going to introduce them when they
Their names? Is that what we're doing?
No, we'll introduce them when we bring them on the call.
Okay, so you already introduced them.
Thank
Soulseekers New England.
For joining us for this special episode.
Yeah, that's all we do.
All right, now we're here. We're recording. We're live with Soulseekers Paranormal. They got all the gear. I'm jealous. The gear is nice.
I know we should have bought some merch beforehand.
Always right. Here's the thing. So we do have some merch coming out soon. It was going to be a secret, but now you guys know.
I was going to say, I bet that stuff you're wearing is fucking exclusive right now, dude.
Oh yeah. One of ones at this point.
Right? Yeah. And Doug, I like the gear though. It looks good. It's simple.
Thanks.
It's perfect. Some people go
overboard. Touch to it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So, my lovely co-host over here, I don't know which corner of your screen she's on, Kayla.
Hi, Kayla.
Hi.
But I
watched so many of you guys' videos, so hopefully I don't mess up the names. They're on the screen now, so I can't fuck it up.
Alan's the only one. She's like, Mr. Paranormal, can I ask you a question?
I wrote it down. I did good.
Mr. Seeker.
God. I'm Mr. Seeker.
Mr. N.E.
Mr. Me Seeker?
Knee.
But yeah, she watched the catalog. She watched the whole catalog. I watched episode 5 was 3. Your last one you did? Was it episode 5?
Yep. Absolutely, yeah.
I did. Yep. I liked it. You guys are good at it.
I had a favorite episode, though.
Yeah? Well, we got
with Noah. Was that...
Okay, that was...
The Asylum?
One. Yep. Seeking Asylum. That was episode 3. Episode 3, yep.
I don't think he gave you guys his age, but I assumed that he was, like, early teenage years. Maybe
he seemed
like
young.
11 or 12.
He seemed younger. Yeah, for sure.
That was my favorite episode. I was like, oh, you guys had a little attachment, but he still respected it, so you guys were good.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, what you see is it's a fraction of what actually happens in person, too. So we want to squeeze it all in there, but you make the video long. Austin's connection brought tears to my eyes. It was incredible.
Oh.
Yeah. We weren't even there that long either, I don't think. I feel like that was a night we were there for, like, maybe a couple hours, you know what I mean? Yeah, but it started as soon as we walked in the door. You know what I mean?
It looked like you guys were setting up.
Capture, like all the things you don't capture on film or in sound.
Right.
You're getting set up or breaking down or something.
Right, but no, it's like as soon as we walked in, it just started. I was like, wow, it feels like really heavy, and then Noah made a connection, so we just went with that.
Have you guys gone back there since?
We have not.
Actually, I was going to say we have plans to go back because unfortunately Corey couldn't make it to that one, and that was the place we really wanted to get him into.
Yep.
You missed that one?
Yep, I did.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I did actually go back a month ago or so during the day, but I didn't get to go inside. I just took exterior photos and stuff like that. So, but
yeah, because you do photography, right? Alan and Austin.
We all do.
You all do.
Okay. Yeah.
Corey
does film for the most part.
Okay. I saw you do you do some car stuff too, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You have a Mercedes? We stalked your pages. We had to be informed. I was like, I got to know what these guys are about. I don't want to ask stupid questions. But I saw that you had a Mercedes.
That's actually how Corey and I met, was through the car stuff.
Okay.
And then from there, I met Alan, and then I introduced Alan and Corey together. And that's kind of how this whole thing formed. And then I realized how three-way relationships work after that.
Yeah, and then since then it's just been a throuple. You know what I mean?
As long as you're all happy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so happy.
That was actually.
Definitely the photography. It was the photography that brought us together for sure.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm looking at it online. It looks nice. The Instagrams, the Facebooks. I see what Alan puts up
we
a
like
lot.
we like to call it professional trespassing, is what we call it. So,
if it had a title.
Wait, was that the same episode with the cop who was like, "You guys aren't supposed to be going in there," and he got a little mad?
Yeah, we go way back. Yeah.
Austin and I have history. That guard.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, we sweet talked him.
Thankfully, he doesn't recognize me, but I recognize him, so that's good.
Yeah.
Just wear a different hat every time.
Oh, man, all the cops.
I kind of can't change the face tattoos anymore, though. Those kind of stick. You know what I mean? So.
Good way to ID you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Whatever.
But that was my first question. Was like, how did you guys get into the ghost hunting stuff? Was it like, do you like calling it ghost hunting? Is that official? Like, is that a term you like using?
Soul seeking.
Okay, that ties in. It's a brand. But,
that's more energies, right? You guys believe more in like the energies, not necessarily like what people assume is a ghost, like you see in fucking people are like, oh, Scooby-Doo ghosts. But with energies, like in souls, it's different.
It's definitely like an energy, for sure.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
Whether it's explained or not, it's some sort of energy. You know.
So my ideology on it is, like going back like a second, we like to call it investigating, because the whole idea behind it is like, we all have different ideas. What is it that we don't really understand at 100% at this point? And it, Corey and us and I all met was we go to all these abandoned places and stuff like that. And a lot of these abandoned places, a lot of weird things started happening. At first I was a skeptic. I'm like, man of science. I'm like, everything's got an explanation, something falling over gravity sort of thing. But I think we all just started to experience a lot of things that once you rule out all the possible scenarios, you kind of get to a point of like, all right, we're not saying this is a ghost, but this is something that cannot be explained. So we just, the more it happened, the more we got into it, and it really started to bloom from there. So it's
so you accidentally fell into it with photography in mind. Like you guys were taking pictures at random places, and then stuff started happening. And is that what? Can you get more in depth with that?
That was more the case for me. Is at first it was nothing I would like go out and do like recreationally. So photography with these guys, with Austin and Corey, getting into these abandoned places and just like knowing the history of like these abandoned, things like that. And then just having these insane things happen is what kind of dragged me in that direction. So Austin had previously already been in a paranormal group, and so he was definitely the lead on, since the stuff keeps happening, should start putting more energy into kind of documenting it and, kind of sharing our stories and getting a little more into it, and kind of took off from there.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice. You know how hard it is to find more than one like-minded individual?
It's crazy how like-minded we all are, but also different at the same time. You know what I mean?
We all have different. We all have different backgrounds of how we got into it. Like, for me, growing up, I actually had a lot of paranormal experiences when I was a kid, and then we obviously we hung out and did the photography thing, and then talking about it came up, paranormal stuff came up, and then we all just started investigating from there.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really neat. I like to hear everyone's background though. And I mean, I feel like all of you definitely have different personalities. To decipher your names while I was watching the videos, I wrote down traits of each of you to keep track of whose name was what.
I would love to hear mine.
Yours was tall and loud. Yeah. Because I saw yours. I saw the episode where you were yelling "Hey" to Alan through the hallway, and it wasn't him walking straight. He was walking from the side. So I was like, okay, loud, tall, and I wrote that down for your name to figure out, just to decipher you guys, because to be honest with you guys, I don't do a ton of research for paranormal activity. I have been so in the middle of it because I've had weird experiences in my past that, some of them were negative experiences when it comes to the paranormal stuff. So I tried to shy away from it, and I would rather just not know, because I feel like I don't have positive energies that tend to, I don't want to say attach to me, but come my way. and I don't do a lot of research, so I didn't know of you guys before Chris had mentioned your names, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I had to decipher adjectives or just personality traits with your names to remember who you were. So I was like,
that's
okay.
Cool. Love that.
Yeah, I love the tall and loud because there's so many. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but when it comes to video, audio editing, so I took the role and all that stuff. So all the episodes and the trailers you see is all stuff that I work on, and I have to apologize because I've been really lazy about it. Like for example,
way
the episode
I do.
Yeah, I was gonna say episode 5 that came out. We filmed that stuff in November and we published it
of last year.
So,
yeah.
Oh yeah. So but the
it
tall
looks legit,
thing,
dude. Even if it took you that long, it looks legit. It looks.
That's the thing too. Like I told him, I'm like, we have like another life. Like it's not like our full-time thing.
Yeah.
We do it on the side, like for fun.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do something, where it's the quantity of the work over it's the quality of the work over the quantity of the work.
Oh yeah.
Versus these other channels and stuff putting something out, every week. You get to the point of like, well, how real is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be producing that much.
So like at least and like it's all DIY. Like everything we do is all DIY, which I love. Like I would not change a single thing about that.
Yeah, you're your own boss doing it. Yeah, you don't have to answer
which is like
anything.
we work with each other and like for ourselves, and it's like if we get one episode a year, we know what that was a year of like our best stuff. Like how can we do better? And we put our everything into those episodes.
Yeah, and once you're mass producing, it doesn't become fun anymore. Like you can tell that you guys put a lot of effort. The first thing I said to Chris when we were talking about it was you can tell that their edits are crazy. Like they put a lot of time and effort into the filming, not just the editing, which probably makes editing easier once you guys are putting quality into, a drive or whatever you guys use. But you can tell that there's a lot of effort put into the videos, the editing, and just the communication all together. But they're really good. Like I've definitely checked out a couple of pages after I checked you guys out, and you guys can see the quality that you put into all the videos.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And trying to produce that kind of quality is really hard when Austin's boisterous voice is overshadowing all of the audio.
It's like
I wrote stuff for all of you guys. We don't have to just
or the quietest one. I'm never in the middle. I'm either like the loudest or the quietest.
You know what I mean? When I'm editing these episodes and she screams half the episode and I'm like,
I don't know if you guys checked us out beforehand, but there are so many times that I'm just yelling for no reason.
The first one I watched, I think it was like 45 seconds in, you peaked so hard. I was like, I'm deaf.
Yeah, and I can't even fix it. Sometimes I can't fix it. I try my best.
But what people don't see is what he does before the episode. I mean, I'm a loud person in general, but I claim it, so it's okay.
I think he was singing an Usher song and you lost your mind over it.
Yeah.
There's history behind that, so that makes
badly
sense.
Around her, it triggers her hard. She does not like bad singing.
So it'd be like if I tried to pick up a guitar right in front of you. It would just be terrible. You would be like, don't plug in the strings like that.
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, I mean, going back to that. So, I mean, recording with these guys, like having Corey and Austin there, like you said before, we have different backgrounds, different personalities, stuff like that. It all just meshes so well. And it's hard to find, A, like Chris said, people who are like-minded, and B, people who and these guys kill it every single time. So it makes making episodes and editing so much easier because everything flows in such a nice, like, chronological pattern. Like, yes, it's stressful because, like, sometimes investigations are anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, and we've got, 4 night vision cameras and 2 handhelds and a main DSLR.
Audio, talk about like multiple trips too, like 2 or 3 trips,
Oh yeah.
So, but like I said, it's just very natural working with the group and getting these episodes put out. But like Austin was saying before, when Corey, Austin, and I go out, it's like we want to make sure that this is quality stuff. We're not just putting it out to appease people
for clickbait.
We're not going to put out an episode every week because at that point, striving for evidence, we're pretty much making it at that point to kind of get together good content.
Yeah,
but, right.
Plus,
we're not about that.
You all have other lives, like you said, full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Taking care of other stuff. Weekly would kill you anyway. You would hate doing it after a while.
Yeah.
Sure of it. Yeah.
And we want to enjoy it. That's why we do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and with the content, I wrote this down as I was watching you guys' videos. I can tell how much you care about it because you guys are very polite and very cautious with the way that you're speaking to the entities. Like you're like, this is a safe space. We want to help you. You're being very like crystal clear, but also still very aware of the situation, because a lot of the videos that you guys have put up have been tragic situations for most of the individuals who are in the facilities that you're visiting. So I thought that was really polite, because I've seen some ghost hunters who do it for clout, or who do mass produce videos and you're unsure if they're real or not because there's a lot of edits, but you can tell that you guys are very involved. And when you do go out and do stuff like this, you care a lot about it.
Yeah.
Comes off genuine.
Yeah, it's very evident.
Genuine.
That's good. We're
Well,
glad.
it kind of just like goes back to like how it's hard to find like-minded people do the same thing that you like to do. You know, and like I guess touching base backwards, like I started in high school. I was a part of a paranormal crew. It's actually funny how I started. Long story short, I was basically on YouTube looking up ghost videos. I came across one, and there was like a link, and it was just like, oh, if you want to try out, you know, click the link below. It brought me to like an email, and I emailed this guy, and I was like, hey, like, you know, I'm in the area. I'd love to, you know, try out. And you know, the next week, I had a sit down interview at the Barnes and Noble, and I talked to this guy for 45 minutes. Like, hey, like, why do you want to join? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like ghost adventures and stuff like that. Like, the shows are cool.
Right.
And I was part of the team. And I still talk to the guys to this day. But yeah, so like I did that, and then met Alan, and we talked about this stuff for a couple of years at least, I would think. Like, we always talked about going out and, you know, investigating.
Have you guys ever had do you guys have your own personal stories with paranormal incidences before you were in the group? Like, do you guys have childhood stories?
That was a question
I
was
do.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
I know Corey does.
Corey does for sure, yeah.
Bring it on. What
Would you like to share?
Yeah.
Sure, I'd love to. So growing up, an uncle of mine owned a house a couple of towns over, and it was obviously built, you know, in the late 1800s or something. And I'd do like overnights there every once in a while. And at first I'd notice like, you know, small things like noises I couldn't I couldn't explain, or like lights out of the corner of the room or stuff like that. And then the big one that I remember the most was me and one of my other cousins. We were sitting in the living room watching TV, and my uncle was out in the kitchen, like making, you know, food. And the TV was right next to a window, and there was like a covered porch on the outside of the building, on the outside of this window. So we're sitting there watching TV, and I remember seeing an old guy just walk past the window, and I was like, huh, I wonder who that is. And I go back to watching TV, like, you know, just being a kid. And a few minutes later, I saw him walk back past the window, and I could tell it wasn't anyone I knew. So like I kind of got up and like looked towards the window, and I looked out, and there was a rocking chair on this porch. So I look out, and I see the guy sitting in the rocking chair rocking, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. So I turn to my uncle and I say, hey, who's outside? And as soon as I turn back, the rocking chair is empty, and it's still rocking. And
How old were you?
I was probably 8 or 10, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So ever since that moment, like I knew there was things I couldn't explain. And then every once in a while, we'd be like outside on the porch, and we'd see people like walking through the yard that we just didn't know who they were. And you know, now that I'm grown up and I'm an adult, like now I know what it is. So.
Yeah. You're too naive when you're that little. And don't energies or other things tend to latch on to people who are younger because they're more.
Yeah. Younger people are supposed to be more susceptible to seeing things like that, I suppose.
Right.
From a medical standpoint, it's, you know, when you're in those ages, I think it's your pineal gland hasn't fully, you know, developed at that point. So you're more susceptible to, you know, sights, sounds, pictures, etc. And I could go on and on, like, you know, considering that we only see the third dimension, like, you know, what's in the fourth, what's in the fifth. And I'm curious about if that's where this matter's been trapped the whole time. because all we see in front of us is, lights and, that our brain is basically turning into an image, but what's there that our brain physically can't, take in and process. And it's like, is that where this energy is stuck that, sometimes it breaks through and we can see it. And I could go on and on about that theory about it.
Yeah, I've read about some of that, the different spectrums and frequencies that we don't decode with our brains. It's just...
Yeah, because, it's like a computer if you
overload it. Yeah, there's so much when you start looking into it.
So when you're a kid and you're younger, you're more susceptible, you're more open to information because your hard drive isn't loaded with all this, so you're more, like I said, you're open to perceiving and kind of contemplating what you're seeing in front of you. And, there's stories I can tell you about, like our friends' kids. Who have had these ridiculous stories that just give you shivers, which made me think of when Corey was saying that, a very short story. So my ex now, so one of her good friends, that were mutual friends, had a daughter. She was about 3 or 4 years old, and she was placing her into the car seat after leaving one of their friend's house. And as she was buckling her in, like, oh, the guy swinging in the tree. And she turns her head thinking it's going to be some guy in like a swing set or something like that. And it's just a bare tree. There's nothing there. She's like, okay, sweetheart, I don't know what you're seeing. No, he's right there. He's physically swinging in the tree. And of course, she looks again. There's nothing. And she's like, okay, Zoe, like that's okay. I get it. Just thinking she's being a kid. So by the time she gets home, she called the friend who owned the house. And she was like, yeah, she was saying something weird about some guy swinging in your front yard. And it was just kind of strange. And the girl apparently froze up and just locked up for like, half a minute. And she said, the priest hung himself in that tree in the front yard.
Wow.
And that was just something that, is like, how does a 3 to 4 year old make that up, see it, point at it, and then just have that be the case? So like, what's residual that's still there that like they can, we can as adults? It's just wild.
Those stories are also always amazing when like kids have like past lives and they talk extensively about it at like 5 years old, and then you find out he's talking about some unknown pharaoh that's like kind of written off in history. You're like, oh, okay. Damn. I love stories like that. Unexplained.
Right.
Yep.
And it makes you think, like, so Corey, Austin, and I, we all have the same concept of like, a lot of people are skeptics, a lot of people are believers. And it's like you have a situation where, like one person says like, hey, I saw a unicorn the other day. And it's like, okay, probably not the case. I think you're just crazy. But we have millions and millions and millions of people and stories and events and accounts that are on TV and just, word of mouth. It's like, are all these people crazy? Are all these people just, misinterpreting things? We definitely do. Because all three of us have seen it firsthand. Yeah. So it's something that we record we like to bring people along trips. That's why we like to do the first person view kind of recording. And we make sure Corey's got a camera, Austin's got a camera, because we're all going to have different experiences when we're there. Mm-hmm. But we want to bring people along to kind of see what we see and hopefully document it, like I said, not provoke it, and then just try to figure out more. Like it's more of like a documentary style investigation rather than like we're here for a scare. And that's kind of the content that three of us agree on and the three of us really strive to do.
Yeah, that's what makes it better to watch. You're not waiting for like a commercial break or something to happen, or I know, what is it, who's it, Baggins or one of those guys? There's always like that lead up, and then you come back from the commercial and you're like, it's just
jump scare.
Yeah, it's like really overblown, and it makes, I'm sure it makes it harder for guys like you when you're just like doing your thing and being genuine about it. Like, do you get detractors a lot? Do you end up like anybody like get at you about that online or anything? Or is everyone pretty cool and receptive?
I don't think so. It's been all positive for the most part, I think. Yeah. Never heard a negative thing about it.
I like that.
That's awesome.
Definitely not a negative thing. I mean, I've gotten questions like, is that real? And it's like, we take that as a compliment because yes.
Yeah, right.
if it's to the point it's to the point where you don't believe it and you have to question it, that's what we want to show you. We want to make it so we can answer your question if possible.
Right. And sometimes you can't, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we can't explain it. We've had those things happen too, you know what I mean?
Those are the best ones though, where you guys are in complete shock. Like the episode where you're all sitting in the room and you can see the shadow by the camera with the light.
That whole night.
There's no explaining that. I was like, oh, that's pretty sick, but
I still get chills thinking about that night. Like it's just like it's different watching it like on the screen, but being there and like feeling what I was feeling is just like next level.
And then Alan showed a video of his arm, and he had goosebumps all up his arm after he moved to where the camera was.
Yeah.
I just thought the stuff that you guys have captured is very intricate. Like there are a lot of minor details that some people don't necessarily get to include because they haven't had the experiences that you guys have. And I just think that you guys have proof of it all over the place. So that's neat.
We do and hours and days of rewatching everything that we capture.
Yep.
Because we've got a lot of content coming up that, like I said, I got to plead ignorance and laziness on this one. We still have we still have a part 2 from November we'll be putting out. And then we have a whole another investigation where a lot of it centers around Corey himself. Like, we had an incredible new method that we tried that a lot of paranormal investigators tried called the Estes method.
Cool.
And for listeners who don't know what that is, so, they have the spirit box that kind of cycles through white noise on the radio through different frequencies.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty much, what they'll do is they'll kind of use, the idea is that anybody use that to communicate through the white noise. So what you do in this case is you block off basically the person's senses. So we had Corey, block his eyesight, block everything except just his hearing, and we put earbuds in, cycling through these frequencies. So he can't see or hear anything going on around him at that point in time. He's pretty much just a vessel at that point. So we put him, under the Estes method, and we started asking questions, and we had devices there that you'll see that will be new to the episodes as well. And the answers he was giving were beyond relevant. And not only that, but like the things that would happen after his answer, like there's a screenshot Austin took of like what I just call my O face at this point, because I was absolutely jaw dropped with what was going on. And then once we got Corey out of it, he's just like, so we're just like, you realize like just the last like 30-minute session. He was just, wow. So we're excited to show you that. Gotta, like I said, start getting this stuff. So
nice.
We'll get it.
So how many places have you think y'all visited? Like, even like, have you done before you are officially doing this? Were you guys already kind of off doing your own? I mean, obviously, Austin, you've done it in the past. Corey, Alan, have you guys ever like gone on your own, done your own thing, or is this like you guys got together and now you're all doing it? Or
we're talking like paranormal wise. We're talking like
just going to like check out places, like as far as investigating.
I don't know. Let's see. We've been doing it for. So I guess together we've been doing it for what, the past few years at least, right?
Yeah.
We debuted in 2021 officially, but we were doing it, I'd say, at least a year to 2 years before that. We were with that document.
Nice.
Before we all started together, I had never gone out on my own or done any sort of paranormal investigation since I had those experiences as a kid.
Right.
Okay. So you weren't like looking for it again.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's cool.
I understand.
How many places do you think you guys visited total? I mean, off the top.
I know officially, like video wise, so over the 5 episodes we have is 4 locations.
Okay.
So
one more.
I was gonna say plus the one that we have in the works right now.
Plus the other one.
I was gonna say there's been there's a location we filmed for. We spent a good 4 or 5 hours there, but the entire time we were there, like, we got next to nothing. And that's just what's gonna happen, because we'll go there in the off time to do like photography and stuff, and that's when stuff will go off, and things will start crashing around you, and it's like, we need to investigate this. Then we go back, cameras ready, everybody's amped, ready to go. Nothing the entire night.
Yep.
So yeah, and it's disheartening
when you're doing your photography stuff.
That's what I'm thinking.
I know we should.
Yeah.
I'd say like a dozen at least.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12, like officially, where we really go there with the main idea of investigating, because most of the time it's like photography and it might turn into that, but with like suitcases ready to go kind of stuff, I'd say roughly that 10 to 12, I would say.
Basically like in the New England area, or have you ventured beyond?
Mainly New Hampshire, Mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mainly Mass, but
I mean, it's not like we have a shortage of good spots in New England anyway,
I know.
No, it's all history.
Yeah.
Definitely a honey hole out here. The tri-state area is just loaded, with potential that we're all working on currently.
We're very spoiled in New England. I don't think we actually know how spoiled we are with all the history.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
A lot of
You guys ever had like a scary happening?
Part of the country.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
What was that, Kayla?
Have you guys ever had like something? I know that you don't aim to have them scare you, but have you guys ever had anything? Because I watched most of the videos and it doesn't look like anything was very harmful. But have you guys ever had something where you were like, holy shit, like, oh, I don't want to come back here?
Yeah, we did have that one episode that we were doing, and I was actually there with my girlfriend at the time, and she was feeling a lot of emotions, to the point where it was overwhelming her, so we actually had to leave. But these guys stayed longer and actually had some kind of evasive stuff going on.
Which location? Which episode was it?
That was
or
the
was
first
it not
or
posted?
second one. It was the first or second one.
The second
The
one.
Let Us Rot?
Second one.
No, it was part 2 of the Reform School.
Part 4.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
that's
Yeah.
the one
So
I didn't
you-
watch.
Because you guys were
Okay.
only there for maybe an hour. You guys came and then left, and then I remember I got a very defensive for you.
Yep.
Because we
Was
take
that with the
safety-
demonic voice? Where they said that he was provoking, where Corey was provoking him? Or was that a different...
I think that was a different episode because I don't
Oh,
think.
okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that one.
No, you're fine. But I remember getting very defensive for you because we take safety seriously,
Yep.
Yeah.
and I felt they were kind of being. I don't want to be harsh, but
bullying.
kind of like coward-like. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Kind of like
Yeah.
feasting on like the weak one, but which is what they do. They find
Yeah.
the one that's, the weakest one, and attach themselves, and that's,
And your girlfriend at the time had no experience prior to this specific
No,
location?
she didn't have any paranormal investigation experience. She had
Okay.
like some instances in the past where she's felt things, and she almost felt like she was sort of like an empath in a way, where she could feel emotions. So she wanted to try the paranormal thing, and unfortunately, that place that we went was just overwhelming for her.
Yeah.
So I've had.
Yeah.
I know I've had a situation. So it was in episode 4. So this was the the Remembering 13. So the Unlucky 13 episode.
Well,
I
the
was gonna say the name-
shadows.
I watched that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So I always want to say the name of the location, but we do that to keep it confidential and keep it from people going there and ruining
Best
it.
that way.
Until it's gone.
Yeah, it's essentially. So I remember when Austin was filming that location. But we were wrapping up the night. We had an incredible amount of evidence that night. And when it comes to fear, there's a fear where something spooks you, and then there's what I call a primal fear. So the kind of fight or flight response. So at the end of that night, Austin and I were walking around with a device I created called an SLS camera, which basically shows like kinetic stick figures. It's actually made out of an Xbox 360 Kinect.
Yes.
So
That's
pretty much
tablet.
what
It's
it
insane.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way it works is basically it has a laser grid that's infrared, and if it picks up on a humanoid shape, it's going to display it as a stick figure on the screen. And a lot of paranormal teams use this,
That
to
was
like
in a
detect
movie,
things that
wasn't
are
it?
in front of them.
Wasn't that in one of the Paranormal Activity movies? They used something like that.
I'm sure they did. I didn't see all the
Yeah,
paranormal
I
activities,
feel like I
but
remember that in one of those movies. They used like a Connect kind of thing.
yeah. So we were giving it a run through. Yeah. So Austin and I were giving it a run through the facility just before we were calling it quits for the night, and just for the entrance. And again, we were the only people on the property at the time, but it is subject to vandals and people coming there because it's abandoned grounds. At the end of that episode, which Kayla said she had watched, you don't hear it as well as we did in person. Walking down a hallway, and it sounded like an absolute wall in front of us. Like
Sound
it
like one
sounded
of the ceiling pieces fell on the ground. It was very loud in the video. It wasn't quiet.
But in person too. That's the thing. It's like it was a loud enough sound where like you could tell it wasn't the building collapsing. It sounded like something was physically thrown or knocked over, like the size of a bookshelf kind of sound.
Yep.
So when that happened, that's when your primal fear kicks in, because in the video, I physically think it's somebody breaking in. And absolutely nobody there. And in the video, like it was shortened a bit because I had some choice that we didn't
well,
wanna
you
put
said
on
out loud, you
camera.
were like, hey, you're not allowed to be here. This is private property. Like you'd said something out loud in the sense of like, the viewers know that you're not talking to an entity. You were like, you're not allowed to be here. You need to leave if you're blah, blah, blah. And you could tell that you thought it was somebody breaking something, but
Exactly. And as loud, or excuse me, as large and as quiet as that facility was, if it was a human being that was there, we would have heard them run or say something. At that point, I'm just like at the point where I'm like, I thought it was a human being, so my body's in fight mode. But then I kind of collected myself. I'm like, or if this is exactly what we were asking for, looking for a response, looking for energy and activity. Thank you so much. Scared us, but thank you so much for that. And the kinds of things that we run into, on camera too. Like we've had situations where, with my, so Stephanie was in the video, so she's my ex now. So when we had initially investigated some places on our own off camera, there were situations where we were in buildings, and I never thought I'd be the person to do that. But when you hear full-fledged footsteps coming full speed and there's nobody to accompany it, you get scared. And you like I said, it's fight or flight, it's primal fear. And it's wild to think you don't know what caused it, but your body had the reaction to as if it was a living being doing that in front of you. Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff that Corey, Austin, and I do experience. And like when it comes to getting scared, we try to keep our wits. But like I said, it's something you don't know until you have that experience.
It's gotta be difficult to be like on your own, walking around doing your thing in the building. It's gotta be. I have trouble coming up from the basement sometimes. I get that like shit on your heels, like running on, I used to get that in the house I grew up in. I always felt like every time I left the basement, something was gonna fucking grab me. Every single time. Yeah. Now, and that one place I ever lived, and I'm not gonna. It wasn't like a paranormal experience, but like that one house, for some reason, leaving that basement, I like took 4 steps at a time.
Yep.
As an adult, but
Yep. Something's gonna grab your foot, man.
You're 20, running up the stairs, trying to leap 5 at a time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I have one too. This kind of touches base too with like my first experience, I guess. So it's kind of strays away from Soulseekers and kind of goes towards like back when I was doing photography. I was at a state school with my buddy, my friend John. And because he really wanted to go, he's like, hey man, I'm really interested. I was like, all right, like I trust you, like yeah, I'll take you. And this is a spot I was going to every weekend for like the past like 2-3 months. Like the whole summer I just kept going. Like I was addicted to this place. And we were in the infirmary building. It was just us two. Like we did the whole grounds. It was just us. This is during the daytime also. We were in the infirmary, 2nd floor. We were getting all of our gear stuff. He was getting his GoPro. I was getting I think at the time, like a flashlight ready and like a mask. Because this is like before I had a camera and stuff like that. But I remember upstairs we heard like footsteps, and then we heard like a cell door just slamming shut, which brought our attention to like the stairs because we were like on the corner of the stairs and like the main wing. And we kind of like peek up the stairs and see like a giant flash of light. And I just look at him and his GoPro was dead. And then my phone died. And then I fly up the stairs thinking like somebody's there fucking with us. And I do the whole 3rd floor by myself. And I'm just like, I'm like yelling. I'm like, hey, who's there? Like, who's there? Like, like if you're here, just let us know. Like, we're not here to like, we're not the cops or anything like that. And there was nobody in that building. And
something didn't want you there. Something.
It scared the fuck out of me.
Right.
Because not only was I not going for like paranormal stuff, like I was just there to have a good time with my friend and like do photography, but I was not expecting that. Like the place has really dark history, but to catch something at 1 p.m. during the summer and seeing a flash of light when the building's pretty well lit.
Right. And then
it's just like
dead. Everything.
And my phone's dead and the GoPro's dead and we had a full battery in it like 2 seconds beforehand. Wow. And like your heart's like beating out of your chest. It's just like you can't explain it.
Yeah. No. Unexplainable activities.
Yeah. It's
especially
just
at 1 in the afternoon too. That's extra. That's like the last time you expect something.
And knowing you're the only people on the grounds at the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh my god. There was like, 2 instances that I saw from you guys' videos where you guys have balls to handle these situations the right way. But there was one instance where Corey was standing next to, I think, Alan, and you guys recorded like a weird demonic voice where he was threatening you guys, and you couldn't hear it because it was through the little mic until probably editing. And then he was like, don't provoke us.
Oh,
and then you were like, no, we're not trying to provoke you. I'm sorry if it came off that way. But the demonic voice, I would have shit my pants.
That was the most recent one, I think.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. That was
in Science Club.
Yeah. And then the second one, which seemed harmless, but my heart would have skipped a beat, was when you two connected with Noah and Austin said, throw a pebble or a small pebble if you're here again. And then immediately after, somebody had thrown something and you guys were like, what the hell was that? And I was like, would have shit my pants in both those instances. And both of you guys were like, all three of you were just calm, being very aware of the situations that they were probably confused about because you guys were trying to communicate with them. And and what it sounds like from watching your videos is not all of them are aware of their situations that they're in after death. Right. So, and I just got that from your videos. So I was like, oh, okay, they're being very mindful of the situations at hand. But definitely give you guys props for that pitch black with just the night vision cameras. I would have shit my pants. I'm not going to lie to you.
When it comes down to it, we're in their house, we're in their element, you know, so we need to be respectful. You know, it might not. Yeah. The thing is, if you go in expecting you're going to see something, you probably won't.
Well, is it in the sense of like a graveyard? Like you're not going to go there and disrespect where everyone's buried. Like it's their resting place. Well, they like they shouldn't, which is shitty. But like that, they didn't get necessarily the closure with like a funeral or something else, I guess, or their families being able to say goodbye in the afterlife. So they had been either murdered or something. They unalived themselves. We'll use that for editing purposes, but just in those situations where they didn't really get any sort of goodbye. So in a sense, it's like you guys are helping them with that, and I thought that was awesome because you guys are like, oh, you can leave at the door with us, use our energy, but do not follow us home. I'm afraid that scares me, those situations, because I would be afraid that something would attach. So I wanted to ask you guys, you guys have like a medium or somebody who does a ritual for you afterwards as a just in case?
We just do it ourselves for the most part.
I just wing it. I just raw dog it. It's fine.
Oh my god!
Nothing at home, I take it? Nothing's happened, beyond these places?
No.
I mean,
Alan is covered in face!
Alan and Corey swear my apartment's haunted.
Oh, that's true. I mean, more specifically,
really?
his bathroom in the weirdest way.
Really, my bathroom's haunted? I don't.
You haven't seen anything. I take it.
No.
He just looks at me crooked. He's like, I live here, dude. Nothing happens. And I'm all right. So I'll click over the last two things.
That's fine.
You gotta talk about this.
It's funny too, because so the last couple times I'd gone over Austin's, he's a 2-bedroom apartment, and I visit there all the time. Nothing weird ever happened. So this was just recently too. Is I had gone in his bathroom, and he was nice enough to let me shower there after a very long salty kayak ride. And the minute I got into the bathroom, shut the door on the back of his door. Towel hangers and stuff, and I was hanging out in there for like a good 2 minutes, and I'm just kind of checking myself out in the mirror, and the towel flies off the hook of his bathroom and like drapes over my shoulder. And I'm just kind of looking, and I was like, I don't think it fell on me because I'm a good 1.5 feet away, and it's like perfectly placed on my shoulder. And I was like, that was very, very strange. So I just put it back up, collected myself. I walked out, and I just stared at Austin. And after that, I just like, dude, something's going on here. He's like, nah, I don't think so. And then maybe the second time I went back after that, I got in there, I locked the bathroom door, and coming out, everybody was waiting for us to go, meet up with them. And I'm like trying to open the door to get out, and I was like, oh, one of you assholes is fucking with me, like, let go of the door. And nobody was doing anything, so I let go of the doorknob, and I watched the doorknob turn itself and open for me. And I came back out, and I looked at Austin again. I'm like, my guy, something's not right here.
What a weird private room to choose to do that with.
Oh, apparently Austin's the only one who's okay there. It's just like, but then you guys go there. Corey, you have something happen over there yet?
No.
Nothing?
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, I mean, at my previous apartment too, very long story short. And Chris, I'll have you cut this out. It says free calls have a limit of 1 hour. My call ends in 14 minutes.
Yeah, it popped up on my screen, so I figured.
Do we want to get into another one just in case?
For sure.
It seems like the more people we have, the less time is.
It gives you an hour. It's been about 43 minutes now, 44 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's go through what you got. I was going to say, Kayla, you can move on if you want to.
Oh, me. Chris, Chris, I feel like I keep overlapping with questions with Chris because he sent me a book of questions.
I sent her my notes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't mind. She takes over when we do interviews. She's like point,
I love this stuff though,
woman.
but it's because I have a personal attachment with it. So I'm sorry, Christopher. I just
you're fine. I'm enjoying this.
It's intriguing.
I'm enjoying this. I like listening.
That's why I took notes, but
she's the scholarly one every time. Plus
but it's because I have
shit.
a little bit of the tism, so I just attach
we'll do an
myself to
episode
things.
on a movie, and I just I'll watch it an hour before, and I forget half of it already. Bad. And then she yells at me. No, we have a lot of the same questions. That's a good thing. We're like-minded on this, I mean, some of the other stuff. I mean, you guys got any other hobbies you do otherwise? I mean, any other interests? Is it mainly it's like you work your job? Is this like your free time? This is what you're doing? Like,
I mean, I do the cars. I can speak for myself. I do the car thing. Yep. That's actually what I do for a living. I do like race cars and restorations, and then I travel.
What kind of race cars?
Kind of all kind of race cars. Mostly European stuff. We do a lot of Porsches, BMW race cars.
All right.
Stuff like that. Yeah, and then travel all over for car shows and do a lot of traveling in general. And yeah,
the car stuff that's lucrative. Well, it's very involved, I should say. I don't know if it's lucrative. It's very involved. I got a couple of buddies that are into that stuff, and it's always traveling around, being at the shows.
Oh yeah, yep.
But I love the community. I love the car community. There are definitely elitists, but I will say that there are elitists, especially with Subaru. But we'll just push that aside. But I checked out your page and I was like, he's got a nice Mercedes, so I wanted to give you props for that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So outside of that, I mean, so Corey and Austin, they're both from New Hampshire. Chris knows that I'm from Western Massachusetts. So I make it a point to go up and see these guys every Sunday if possible. So on personal
for brunch date.
Oh, just
all day.
Stay. Sometimes
all day,
weekends, every Sunday. Slumber parties, like stuff like that.
Same nights.
So on my personal Instagram, every Sunday, it takes a while to put together a reel of our shenanigans for the weekend. So if you were to,
it's just humble. It's just wholesome. We love it.
Right. So our hobbies are pretty much just kind of, like I said, making the most of our time. Living 2 hours apart doesn't make it any easier. But I work in the medical field. Typical 8 through 5, Monday through Friday. So the weekends is pretty much what I think all of us really live for, to get out there, do our investigation, hang out. Like I said, just try to retain our youth one way or another.
Yeah. That's why I still play music.
Gotcha.
I do. I travel about an hour.
I don't think I need to explain.
Yeah, so
I can see. You look like you're ready for a Twitch account or something.
I have a Twitch account.
We do that.
Look at that.
We stream every Thursday. We stream now. We've just been playing Fortnite. We get together with a party and we just stream and have fun.
Oh, nice.
We promote the show. We do this every Monday. We record this. We put it out every Friday. We've been going weekly since the beginning of April. We got into this, and it's something I've thought about it for a few years, and I was just always never had the right ideas in mind or the person to do it with. And we've worked together for 6 years now. We've been friends and we've worked together.
Yeah, I've dealt with you for 6 years.
I'm good. During the day, I'm hyperactive and I bounce out the walls. At night,
but I'm the same way.
I smoke, I chill out a little bit. But I brought it up one day, and she's like, "Well, why don't we just start doing it?" And I'm like, "All right." And we just
fuck it, let's go.
Well, if you guys are streaming, I think I can speak for all of us. Is we have a video that we're working on. It's kind of like a big update video sometime this week. Just kind of where we're at between Corey's life, my life, Austin's life. The group as a whole, some upcoming locations, and like we said earlier, we're probably going to be dropping some merch. So if you guys are streaming, I'll get your sizes. We'll send you some complimentary shirts if you want to rep the brand on streams.
We do that all day.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
Oh, y'all are the best.
Hell yeah.
Are they in black?
Always black, baby.
Always.
Okay.
Always black.
I don't wear anything else, so I had to make sure.
Yeah.
Unless you're Alan,
you glow in the dark. I don't know.
Yeah, Corey can give you a little sneak peek if you want. Corey's repping the new logo and everything.
Yeah, I like that.
So
I like the font. The choice of the font was good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we got some cool stuff coming out. So
I was giving the other two their other names to describe them. You missed
Oh.
it.
Oh yeah,
I want to hear
You
it.
gotta tell Austin.
You gotta tell me.
Okay,
now that
so
we're back.
Corey was provoker with gauges.
Interesting. Okay.
And then Alan was main cameraman, calm and soothing.
Okay.
Because he had to like rein
Accurate.
in some situations.
That's just his voice. I just love his voice. He has a way with words.
He loves your
Thank
voice.
you. That's not what he said during Stir the Pot the other night. It was this card game, and it's like, who has the most annoying voice? And I got the card.
Also, worst singer. Sorry.
Okay, you're not wrong. I mean, if Chris
Oh!
played, he'd have a new card, right?
Okay, but I do have a question for you guys because it is the month of October. So I wanted to know what your favorite location was and what you're hoping to see with the group in the future. What your goals are. 2-part question.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I guess
We'll start with favorite location.
No. I can start the whole 2-parter. Location wise, I think was probably. Well, I can't actually say the location.
Well, you can say the episode if that helps
Yeah.
for the public.
Episode name.
I'm gonna have to say episode 4. I think.
Which was for the viewers.
I know Corey wasn't there for that one.
Yeah.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
With William.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
You helped William outside. Or Sarah did?
Yes.
Sarah helped William?
Yes.
She was part of
Okay.
the process. Yeah.
Yeah, she was part of the process. Just because that one had a lot of, I mean, clearly like dark stuff happen, stuff that I've never explained or like witnessed before that I couldn't explain. You know, like the whole like me yelling for Alan, you know, thinking that he was somebody else and that was actually him, but he couldn't hear me. And I'm clearly loud. You know, it's in my name as you said. You know, there's no way you couldn't hear me. You know, and like the shadows. You know. So I would love to go back there if possible at some point with, you know, us 3 and maybe a couple other people if they wanted to join in. As a group, I just want to see us still have fun. You know?
Yep. Absolutely.
That's like as a goal for the 3 of you. The goal
just
is
want
just
us
to
to, you know,
continue to enjoy it.
Yeah, I just want us, you know, to keep the, you know, just to keep the mindset we have and the energy. You know, that's
the best thing you could wish for each other. So that's awesome.
and just see, you know, like as long as like, you know, because like we're going through some life stuff together, but you know, I think we can move past that. Yeah, make it work and just see more, do more, and just be better for each other and as a whole, as a group, and just keep doing what we're doing.
I love that.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Corey, you want to go next?
Sure. I think personally, like Austin said, I wasn't there for the Lucky 13 episode, but the Science Club episode was definitely the one for me where I experienced the most, and I think as a team we caught the most like compelling evidence.
For sure.
And it was just one of the ones that I had the most fun doing.
For sure.
Maybe that's because of where I was in my life and just, you know, accepting of all the evidence that we could catch, maybe. But yeah, definitely enjoyed that one the most. And yeah, for the second part of the question, I just want to get out more. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, keep doing what we're doing. I think, you know, the way we put the videos together really works, and I can tell that people are susceptible to that. I just want to continue what we're doing and just get back out there.
You can tell you guys have a connection.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's nobody I'd rather see than these 2 guys, honestly. I mean, it's really humble and corny, but I love these 2 to death. So based on the same question, I love you guys. So based on the same so all of the episodes we have so far, both published and unpublished, were all incredible locations with incredible events that we were just lucky enough to get on camera and have documented. The first 2 episodes, which are part 1 and part 2 of the Reform School, will always hold a special place in my heart. Not because it was our pilot, episode, being the first place that we really, put our effort into, filming and doing really, kind of buckling up and just really getting in there and, just kind of subjecting ourselves to, what we weren't sure what was going to happen. So for it to come out and be as fruitful as it was, even going back to what would you say we went 5-6 times to the location, maybe?
Countless. We were there all the time.
Was that the big campus?
So it's part of a campus. So like I said, episode 1 and 2, we focused primarily on 2 specific buildings of what was on campus.
Okay.
It was more or less small schoolhouses. So there was the rooms that were like full of desks and stuff like that. But these locations, whenever Corey, Austin, and I had gone in there with the sole purpose of investigating, it's like you submerge yourself in like almost like a different world. Like you forget what's going on outside the walls. You just like, you feel this heaviness. You feel this, you feel sorrow at times. You'll feel like
Bless
happy
you.
times. Like I said, we had a lot of outtakes at the end of episode 2 that you guys see. So we like to have fun while we're there. But when you submerge it like that, it really speaks to you, as a person. And that's really what got me personally going, saying like, we should just keep doing this, keep filming, keep doing our thing, and keep looking into stuff, because it's just so compelling. And it's something I don't really have many friends that do it other than us. I mean, there's some people that do it recreational. So what I want to see for, what we have left of the Soulseekers crew, because we've all gone through some life changes, and that kind of didn't help with the tardiness on getting some stuff together. So we're putting some pieces back together. We're kind of revamping a few things. And we do have one of us in the group has a pretty big life change coming up that's going to be part of the update video that we're going to hopefully put out sometime this week or next week. That we have some cute and stuff for there. But like Corey said, like Austin said, I just want to see us, continue to do this. I don't want us to drift apart, and, just kind of like let it get past us, because, being an 8 to 5 adult Monday through Friday, we don't want that to take over. We just want to keep doing this. And if we get, quote unquote popular from it, that's cool. I mean, we love to know that people enjoy, the footage that we get, and really, will open themselves up to the idea if they're not believers. And if they are skeptics, it just means a lot of people check it out, because we put a lot of effort into it. And I think if we keep doing that, we're going to build a bond that I feel can't be already. It's just going to get, stronger at that point. And maybe we'll get something so compelling that, it'll be earth shattering, but I'm not going to expect it. We're just going to, like I said, keep having the relationship that we do.
Yeah. Just keep having fun, just sticking to ourselves and to each other, and just keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I want to see you guys succeed. That'd be great. Imagine getting paid for just doing something you love.
I fucking love that.
Man.
That'd be awesome. Social media is a good place to start.
That's the dream.
Yeah,
But,
so we're starting to tap back into that too.
Yeah, we're getting there.
It's so hard. We do
there.
the same thing with the podcast. It's so hard to we got to make clips and put stuff together and put little funny things and make sure it's on
Time
YouTube,
consuming.
TikTok, Instagram,
Yeah.
and we're also working full time, so it's like.
But like Alan said, we're revamping everything. You know what I mean? We're rebranding, revamping. It's going to be a whole new us coming up. So there should be some exciting stuff coming out.
I like it. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I can see the spark already.
Yeah.
I can, but since you guys are so close, and you don't have to answer this, but because you guys seem to be so connected, do you guys have I don't want to call it a ritual, maybe a routine for every Halloween? Because a lot of people pay their respects to
Taco Bell.
The dead. Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Really?
Taco Bell at the
On
witching
Halloween?
Every time
surprised.
we hang out, Taco Bell.
No, I mean specifically for October. So I know a lot of people, some people in my family, they will go to graves and they'll pay their respects and they'll continue on stories of those people to keep their name alive. I don't know if you guys have something that you do together as not just friends, but a paranormal group. You have I know you guys did the 13 remembering 13 souls.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have something that you do every year on those days. Do you know what I mean?
Just by random.
No, not
Just
really.
random.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just happened to work out really nicely. That we knew it was going to be a Friday the 13th that we were scheduled to investigate that location. So the thought we put into that with like having 13 specific, souls or entities that might still be there, like calling out to them. So, I mean, if we could do something like that, every time Friday the 13th comes up, like I said, I don't know if this one today on Friday the 13th, that's awesome. We'd love to touch base with Soul Seeker stuff on every Friday the 13th, and being spooky season.
It's fun.
I mean, I was gonna say it's spooky season, so I mean, I definitely would fancy the idea if the guys and I would come up with something for that kind of thing. I think that'd be
like
cool.
a routine.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
That'd
you
be
planted
cool.
a seed. Yeah, you definitely planted a seed just now. I'm gonna start brewing some ideas.
I just wanted to ask because I figured like I have a friend or a buddy who he recently left a paranormal group because he was actually on one of our episodes because of some differences that he had, and he is now in another group that's a little more accepting. And they have like special routines that they do on specific dates, but they've also been to places like the Conjuring House and other places, and they use the white noise method that you spoke about. And it was crazy because they'd guided him to the person for the hide and seek stuff. It was so strange. But stuff like that is, it's very intriguing. And that's why I love talking to, and you guys are so easy to talk to, like very comfortable people.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, like really, you guys are so easy to talk to. But I don't really have any more questions to bombard you with. I don't know, Christopher, if you have any more, but
there's no way you're done. I saw that notebook.
I don't want to overwhelm anybody.
I guess just going back to is like you're saying, like the three of us have a really good relationship and we run everything by each other. You know what I mean? It's like we work not as we work as a team, and I don't think we've ever had any hardships at all, like ever. We're very accepting of.
I think a big thing for us was that the friendship was first, and then we talked about doing the paranormal and all that.
And we talked about it for a long time.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we were just like, and we're like, let's not make a business out of it. Let's not make a job out of it. Let's just do it when we can.
Yep.
And have fun. And that's why I think it's working out so well. Because we also hang out outside of it. It's not always about Soul Seekers or about photography. We're hanging out and like doing other life things. You know what I mean? Like whether it's doing nothing, or doing something. But we always, work well with each other and run everything by each other, and make sure the end product is something that we're all proud of. So it's not one person taking all the credit. I mean, Alan does do 99.9% of the work. You know what I mean? But
he does.
We all do.
That's awesome.
We all do our part, and we all work really hard together and well together. So
just showing up, and one of you guys' videos, you said it was like a 2-hour drive for all of you. That's still a big step, going 2 hours away to visit someplace.
It's really not that far. It's not that far.
Yeah, that's not bad.
2 hours isn't bad?
It's not that. I would do it. I would do it. I would do it all day, every day for these guys. I don't.
Do you guys have any plans? And like maybe in the near future to like get together and go somewhere like Savannah, Georgia is a hot spot that people like to visit. Do you guys ever think about something like that? Like using your like
an overnight
your PTO hours and just like bang out like a 3-4 day trip
PTO.
Somewhere?
You're funny.
What is PTO?
I mean, we did do our big trip recently, the trip that we talked about all summer. But that's about it. But as of like a hot spot, I mean, I don't really have anything planned.
We have talked about, spoiler alert, the big news is I'm actually moving to Tennessee in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be something we're going to have to work into our group. But one thing we did talk about is there are several hotspots in Tennessee that I think we all want to go to. So now, me being stationed there, it's almost like, all right, I'll fly you guys down and we'll do, whatever investigations down there. And vice versa. Like when we plan stuff up here, like obviously I'll come up and we'll do the investigations up here as we normally would.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I almost did. I was gonna be like, I think there's some good spots in Tennessee that we might go check out sometime soon. And that opens up a lot of opportunities. Even like if Austin and I drove down and like met Corey way somewhere, I guess between here and there, I'm sure in the works right now. A lot of stuff is still local, and there's some big locations that we have in the works right now, like things you see, Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and things like that. And the owners of these properties will always tell us, it's like, this is great. You're not a huge camera crew, 6 vans and all that other stuff, and you're not fixing your hair every 15 minutes. It's like, no, we do this. Yeah, we do this recreationally. So we've got some cool stuff coming up, and I think, so I think we're just gonna go with the flow. Yeah.
I bet you guys would have a killer like road trip montage video if you put one together. That would be awesome.
Between 3 photographers, I think that they would do something pretty cool.
Weird random roadside shit. All that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, even just the reels that we do on Sundays are full of all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to look up my personal Instagram is Alan Soulseeks, which it's public. I don't believe it's private. So the reels on there, like I said, you'll see all the weird shenanigans we get up to on our ends, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. So
we love it.
Hell yeah. I did have another question. So obviously you're into like the paranormal. So horror movie, favorite horror movie. You guys gotta like horror movies.
Halloween original.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Respectable. I'm not a huge Michael Myers fan, but it's respectable for what it is. Like that's OG shit.
That's okay. That's fine.
OG. I love Carpenter though, so I'm never down Halloween.
It holds a place in my heart. It's not the scariest movie, but
it's stolen
can we preface
so much.
Christopher has a whole collection of old school movies and everything behind him. He's a wicked nerd for horror movies. Let's preface that. So what he says isn't to offend anybody.
But I do like Carpenter, so I'm never down.
It's just like I don't know, it's like the man behind the mask for me. It's just like I just love Halloween. Like I know there were a couple ones that weren't that great, but the original Halloween, all-time favorite.
I'm not gonna lie, I still like the one with Busta Rhymes in it. I remember watching that one, and just to me, entertaining like trumps all at times. It can be the most nonsense movie, but if you're like you're having fun watching it, like isn't that the whole point of like horror? You know, just like enjoy watching it. Of course you want to be creeped out or scared, but like when I enjoy a movie, like I don't care if everyone's like it's bad. I'm like, yeah, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was either that or the OG Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are my.
Actually, I got over here. This poster there. That's one of the posters right there on the side wall.
Love that.
I do have a painting of Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw. I do have a painting my girlfriend did of Leatherface. It's really good, but it's really dark. You can't see it. You can't see it back there.
No worries.
But yeah, that's a good one. I did like the I like all of them actually. 2, 3. I even like the one with McConaughey in it. I don't mind Next Generation. It's got its moments. It's got its moments.
Yeah.
I think if I had to go, I was gonna say if I had to go with so when you say scary movies, my mind immediately goes to mind fucking disturbing movies, because that's kind of like the rabbit hole I fell into. Retro speaking, the Chucky movies have always been, to me, just so like terrifying to me, like because those came out when we were, I don't know, I was born in '92, so I was young enough to be very, very disturbed by it. But when it comes to like scary movies, like movies that really mess with you mentally, there's a very select group of people that know this. It's called a Serbian film.
I believe I've seen. And I want to say I've seen it. I believe I've seen it.
You'd know.
You would know.
It's banned in
Is
like.
Is that the one with like full on like porn scenes in it too?
Yes, it's.
I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
It's banned in a lot of countries.
I've seen a lot of movies in that vein, so I'm like.
I recommend anybody listening who hasn't seen that movie, just don't.
Just don't.
No, do it.
Just don't.
No, do it.
Just don't.
Provoking.
Just do it.
I know. That's what I got though.
There's a handful of movies out like that are just. You're like, no, we didn't need this.
Who directed this? Who directed it? Right. Like you were somebody's child.
So bad. What about you, Corey?
I heard you mention Carpenter. I'm definitely a Carpenter fan. The Thing is like one of my favorite, and even the second one. The second one was really good too.
The remake was good? It was a remake, right?
Yeah, the remake was actually what happened before the first thing.
Okay, all right. So it's like a reboot.
So it was
that
really
didn't really take off after anyway. I never watched it. It came out in 2011, I think it came out. I never watched it. I don't know why. I love Kurt Russell and Keith David. Like them two together in that movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. Anybody?
What about you, Christopher?
Definitely watch it. What's that?
What about you, Christopher? You gotta have a favorite.
I have too many that I like. It's hard for me. Like there's a werewolf movie called Dog Soldiers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. but it's it's just one of those. I want to say they're Scottish. It's like they're on like a training mission with like their guns are corked and they're supposed to be doing like this tactical stuff, and they run into werewolves up in like the Highlands or wherever, the woods out in, I think Scotland or England, but they run into werewolves and it becomes like they end up in a house and the werewolves are trying to get in, and it's like a family of them, and it's just it's different. It's done very well, and it was one of those where it like went on Sci-Fi back in the early 2000s when Sci-Fi used to actually play horror movies every Friday night. That was like what I did on Fridays. Fun guy. But it was came out on there, and I watched it, and I was like, I gotta go get the DVD so I can see this uncut. And now it's like one of my top 5. It's called Dog Soldiers. I like too many. I love Freddy Krueger movies. I have him tattooed on the back of my leg. You know, like an original Freddy Krueger from an artist who he drew up his own version.
Nice.
Carpenter, I love They Live. I have that on my other leg. I have a They Live leg. You know, so like I just in general, you know, I love any shark movies, even if they're bad, I'll watch them just for the laugh factor. You know, all the stupid shark stuff. You know, like all that stuff. I just in general, even bad horror movies, Return of the Living Dead, all those movies. I just like she said, I got a bunch of DVDs from when DVDs were still a thing, you know, and all that stuff. But
still a thing.
I think I've seen the movie Rubber like 4 times.
I have not watched it. Everyone says I should.
Really?
I have a hard time watching a movie about a tire.
Oh my goodness.
You watch movies about sharks
I watch
and
the dumbest
tornado.
shit, but I'm like, I don't know, it's a tire that kills people, but I keep hearing it's good.
It's so mindless.
There's so many good ones. I mean, what's the one?
What about Queen of the Damned? That one's my least favorite. Like my favorite horror movie, but I don't love horror movies. That one has traumatized me my whole life.
Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever watched that.
You know how I have a phobia for mazes and like I hate feeling like I'm lost?
Yes.
That is why I have that fear. That movie, I watched it way too young, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought my mom was dead. I was like, oh, okay, this is so much fun.
All right.
Terrible.
But that's the horror movies when you're young do those things. Like he was talking about Chucky, how it like induces this fear in you, especially when you're at a young age watching these things when there is clearly an age discretion on some of them, you know, for a reason. And I was watching it while my brother was playing GTA in the other room, and I was, you know, it just traumatized me. There was a lot of blood happening with the vampires, so. But I love it now. It's like good bad memory movie.
I'm more scared of like the real life scenario stuff, serial killer stuff, like that stuff always worries me. That's scarier to me than any horror movie.
My fear is the unknown, though. That's different. Those movies are also scary, but
I can deal with that. I can
deal with all of that.
Deep water, terrifying. Worst fear, deep water.
Oh yeah,
Chris
Chris
too.
We have actually our 3rd episode is on phobias, and we talk a little bit about it. And like my thing is that too, oceans and stuff. I do not like that. Like I can be on the beach, but I'm good. I don't even want to go on like a whale watch. I might force it if I ever have to, but like, yeah, I'm with you, man. That deep water.
I'd be fine, but like if I like get lost at sea, I'm fucked. Like,
yeah.
Everything else I'm fine, but like if I capsize or something or like just get stranded, I'm just fucked.
Yeah. Austin a couple of weekends ago in a kayak going across Boston Harbor.
Yeah.
I told these guys, I was like, hey, first time in a kayak and first time in the open ocean on a kayak. I was like, what if
I probably wouldn't even do that. I probably wouldn't even do that.
I did it. I did it.
Did you guys hold those clear kayaks so you could see the bottom?
Hell no.
Like the clear ones?
See that?
Would I do that? I would absolutely do that. I've been fishing my whole life. That'd be so cool.
The clear kayaks are awesome because if you go to a safe spot, not where, you know, sharks are coming up to like Cape Cod. But like when you could see reefs underneath you or you could see like small fish, that's really pretty. But you have to be in a specific area. Otherwise it can be, you know, detrimental.
Yeah, that I would
mental health.
do. That I would do, but not somewhere where there could be sharks.
I could see Austin just flipping off everything at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh no! But do you guys have any questions for us? I know we've been chatting, so any questions?
Kayla, you had mentioned some experiences that you had. Did you want to talk about those?
I knew this was
I
coming.
can, but everyone is intrigued. But I was so at the time I'd lived in a bad neighborhood with my mom and my nana, and out of nowhere, my brother and I, so I kind of want to paint the picture so that it makes a little sense as the story goes along. So there was a downstairs floor that was pretty open space. It was our living room, bathroom, and kitchen. And then stairs went up the side where there were 2 bedrooms, my mom's bedroom and me and my brother. And a bathroom upstairs too, which is super important. So my brother randomly just started sleepwalking, and prior to moving into this bad neighborhood, he'd had no issues with any of that. So my mom would wake up in the middle of the night and make sure he didn't fall down the stairs, because he would sleepwalk. He'd go down the stairs, open drawers, close them, go back to bed, whatever. It was harmless for a while until he started like opening drawers. He would pick up a knife, put the knife down, close the drawer, and go back to bed. So my mom started worrying, because she's like, that's a problem. I don't want him to drop it on his foot or anything crazy. So
That's
we were
what
like,
she was
okay.
worried about.
Yeah, no, she was oblivious to
Not the
everything
pending
else.
murder of everybody in the house. Yeah.
So then and then I started sleepwalking, but she was more worried when I was sleepwalking. I'm only a year and a half older than my brother. So I was maybe 4 or 5 at the time. And when I was sleepwalking, I would pause at the top of the stairs and I would open my eyes, but I wasn't awake. So I would open my eyes at the top of the stairs, and then I would go downstairs, and I would, at the time we had a VCR, and I would put on Shirley Temple, and I would like sway back and forth to Shirley Temple. Mind you, I have no recollection of any of this. I was too young to remember. And
Nope.
those
Throw
were
the whole
the
kid
first.
out.
Yeah, that's what she was like, okay, this is too much, so she would have to wait for me
Weird enough
to
you're
go back
watching
to
Shirley
bed.
Temple in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's a horror
Where'd you
movie.
even find
It
that?
was so I was obsessed with her. I loved her hair. She had beautiful curls. But I would always sing along to her dances, whatever. So my Nana had showed me Shirley Temple, and she'd lived in the house at the same time. My mom and her had shared a bedroom at the time, and me and my brother had shared a bedroom. So but there was one night where I would wake up, and like I started opening the bathroom door, and I would go to the bathroom while I was sleepwalking, whatever. So my mom would just stay awake and wait until we were done. So one night I went to go grab the bathroom door, and I like paused, but I like shook a little. So she thought I'd woken myself up. She's like, Kayla, it's time to go to bed. And I wasn't awake. So I stood at the top of the stairs, and I stood there for a little while. My mom's exhausted. She just woke up. She's like, oh my God, how long is this going to take? Blah, blah, whatever. And so she's like, Kayla. And like the third time she'd said my name, supposedly I like dropped. So she panicked because I'm at the top of the stairs and my eyes were open like they usually were when I'd look down the stairs. So she picked me up. She brought me back to bed. And like when she laid me down, I jumped awake, and she was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And at the time people were telling everyone, like, if you wake your kids up from sleepwalking, it could be bad. And nobody told anybody why. They were just like, if you wake somebody up from sleepwalking, it's bad. So when I woke up, my mom was like, oh my God, are you okay? And then I just like stared at her, and she was like, it looked like you were afraid, like you were in fear. So she was like, what were you looking at? And at 4 or 5 years old, I said, Mommy, I was looking at the demon. So this was scary for a 4 or 5 year old already. But then she freaked out. She started looking into the history of the building, and she was talking to the landlord. And before we had bought the apartment, the landlord did not disclose that the man who'd lived in the building before us had hung himself on the stairs that I would stand at and watch. So I don't remember any of this. So maybe like my memory had completely like shut it out.
Jeez.
But my mom tells me this story. She would tell me the story all the time, and she's like, we had to move. It got to a point where I was losing too much sleep. Your brother started like picking up the knives and stuff, and you were talking to people at nighttime downstairs. She goes, I couldn't deal with it anymore. We had to move. So we ended up moving. And it was
just location.
It was what?
It was just this location that this stuff happened at.
Everything else, after we'd moved somewhere else or we went somewhere else, nothing had ever happened. But recently, so if you don't mind me continuing,
Go on.
my mom had moved in with a roommate who was a medium, but she didn't tell her. So I ended up going to a barbecue at my mom's house when she'd moved in with her roommate, and she like went to go shake my hand, and I was probably 21 or 22 at the time. And I shook her hand. I was like, nice to meet you, blah, 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 normal interactions. But she like pulled her hand away, and she was like, I'm sorry. I can't shake your hand. And I was like, oh, did I squeeze you too hard? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to like hurt you. And I'm a little weird. So she went back to her side because it was a duplex. So she went back to her side, and she came back to me, and she goes, do you mind if I talk to you, I feel like I need to talk to you. She goes, usually I would never bring this up. It's super uncomfortable for my husband, but I need to talk to you. And I looked at my mom. I was like, is she safe or is she like a loony bin over there? Like, what do you do? My mom was like, no, she's cool. Like, if you're comfortable, go ahead. So I went over there and she brought me into her bedroom and she had like a salad bowl of crystals. And I immediately was like, what the fuck is going on here? So she looked at me and she goes, I just want to let you know that your great-grandfather is watching over you. And I now live in his house after he'd passed. And there's something dark that shadows. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And she goes, well, something has attached itself to you. And I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. And if you don't want to hear what I have to say, then you're more than welcome to leave. But I need to give you this. And I'm really sorry. And she handed me a bag full of crystals. And she said, please place these at the four corners of your room to protect you. And I didn't know if I believed her at the time. Like I told you guys at the beginning of the video, I'm unsure about how to feel about all of it because it's not something that you want to hear from somebody who says that they're a medium. And she doesn't talk about it because her husband doesn't believe in that stuff, but she said that she's had happenings her whole life. I put them at the four corners of my room and forgot about it. Never wanted to think about it, never looked into it, never asked about it. But sometimes it makes me wonder about like the weird attachments as a child. But I never looked into it further because it scares the shit out of me.
Now I have a question. That made me think of a question. Like, what do you guys think of that kind of stuff? Crystals and all that extra stuff. Like, are you more like looking for energy, or do you kind of subscribe to some of those other, beliefs, I'll call them in general, stuff with the crystals and what rune stones, all that kind of stuff? Ouija boards, using other kinds of mediums.
Right.
Definitely don't mess with Ouija boards whatsoever.
No.
It's just a personal thing. No.
We definitely don't do that. No.
No. As far as like the crystals and like, all the, I guess you want to call them safeties, that people have, I think it's more of just something that the individual themselves can use to protect their own mind from whatever is happening.
So it's like psychological.
It's kind of like what they believe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And if it's what they believe, then it's strong.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know what she meant by that or why she handed them to me, but she tried to explain to me what some of them were. And because of this mild panic that I had that day, immediately the next day, there's like a crystal shop out where I live. And I went there and grabbed bigger ones than what she gave me because she made me panic a little bit and I feel stupid sometimes.
Largest crystal.
No, oh, really?
I gotta go in the back for that.
Hang on.
She's like, I got it somewhere.
Right,
it's
I can
keep
get
that thing on her.
Yeah, right.
This one, but
it's
a raw crystal. It's not shiny. It's not pretty or anything. Like, and I don't know if I should believe in this stuff, but she made me panic, so I immediately went to do something about it.
Do you keep that next to your phone when you sleep to capture the the 5G?
No. I bought them because it gave me peace of mind in the moment. Now I don't think about them. Like I have it as like a book rest up there. Yeah. Like you can't even see it. But I still did it because for whatever reason I believed her. And I didn't want to. I really didn't want to because it was not something positive. Like I don't want to hear that something dark is following me or something weird is happening. And I've always cut myself from those ties of the paranormal world or anything to do with it because of the situations that had happened when I was little. I didn't want to be a device or an entity that negative energy seems to latch onto. So I just stayed away from it. And I don't know why that happened. So I couldn't even explain it to you. But that was my story. I don't know. You guys don't have to believe me or anything, but it made me panic when she told me. I was like, no.
You can entertain the idea since you got that big white crystal. Has everything been cool?
Yeah.
I had some things happen. So I used to sleep in my basement because it's not fully finished and it's a little creepy. But I was down there before I had surgery. And I felt like, and I think it's just because basement vibes give you like a little ugh already. So maybe I was already being paranoid. Like Chris said, he felt like he had to run up the stairs at the house that he was at. But I felt like somebody was watching me all the time.
At that house that I didn't get into anyway. So
yeah, and I mean, I always felt like somebody was watching me. I always felt like heavy like a weight. I don't even know if that makes sense at all, but it just
Makes
felt
sense.
Totally.
exhausting to be down there.
Yep.
So I got to a point where I fell into a depression, and my surgery, even though it sucked at the time, gave me like a little bit of light because I ended up moving my room upstairs. And since I've been upstairs, I don't feel like I'm being watched. I don't feel like anything is attached itself to me. And I don't know if it's because I'm upstairs or because I put those, and maybe like you said, it could be a peace of mind with the crystals. I don't really have a solid answer because a lot of it is just unknown.
Right.
So,
Right.
But I
I'm-
mean,
I'm
what's
kind of-
what's
I'm-
important is that you don't feel those bad energies anymore.
yeah.
So
You're
I'm
what?
agnostic. Oh, me? I was gonna say I'm like agnostic towards the idea. So I can definitely. I'm not gonna say that like crystal energy and people who use those as vessels or like are unjustified. I kind of see it as these people use those to their like comfort level the same way we use our devices when we do our investigations. I mean, we're gonna need these abstract things in order to channel energy and kind of get into those weird fourth, fifth dimensional things that we can't access without them. So I give them credibility. If that's where they find solace, if that's where they find comfort. I mean, who am I to say that that's like obsolete? Like if that's, I mean, I don't feel it personally. Like I've never held a gem and been like, this is bringing me serotonin.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. So, but I do find comfort in somebody that finds comfort in it. So I definitely am all for it. I'm like, hey, if that's your thing, like I said, to say that that's any less real than the stuff that we're experiencing on a daily basis.
Yeah. Like right now, like I'm in a house full of rocks. Do I feel safer? No. But the thing is, I don't study or have the knowledge with, crystals or any sort of other spiritual, realms, if you would. You know what I mean? So I can't speak for or against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe
Therefore,
she did that to ease my mind as like I don't want to say to dumb it down for me,
Right.
because I'm not as well versed in what she experiences with her energies, because she said that she told me she was a medium, but she doesn't tell other people that because she's like, I work at a specific job and I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but I've experienced these things since I was little. And even telling the story that I'm saying out loud now is not something that I share with everybody. I mean, it's out now, but like it's not something that I introduce myself as. Like I try not to relate with it as much because I don't like thinking about something, like I said before, negative following me. And I don't know why that would happen. I've never gone out of my way to try to find negative attachments. So
it's a good thing to take the safe precautions, though, just so if anything did happen, you know what I mean? If for you, if it's like a crystal or a rock, then it's kind of like the peace of mind in that sense.
Yeah,
is how I would go about it. Those extra precautions,
Yeah, and I don't even want to look into it. I'm like, as long as it's not with me right now, we're
better off probably not to look into it.
Yeah, that's for the best, for sure.
It lends more to the idea of there's just stuff going on beyond what we can process, and
which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, my mom felt like she was insane because she couldn't relate with other moms about it, and it was only that one location that we'd lived at where things would happen, which is completely unexplainable until we found out the history of the building. And I was like, there's no way the landlord didn't want to disclose that to us. But it was a bad neighborhood, so they were just trying to sell it,
Yep.
But your house, Chris, are you comfortable talking about that? Because yours is really
It's
cool.
not uncomfortable. It's not. It's. I was like 3, I think, when we moved into we ended up getting a 2-family when I was a kid with my grandparents, and both my grandparents were like, they're from like Lithuania, Poland, Germany area, and they're from Nazi times when that World War II was happening, so they went through it. My grandmother was on trains with what's the proper term? I don't want to say the word because I don't think it's appropriate anymore. Fortune tellers and those kind of people.
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean. But,
Travelers. Yeah.
Yeah. So she ended up on one of the trains in that area during the Nazi occupation, and with obviously her family, and they got all separated, and she ended up with people who told fortunes and read cards and palms and tarot and all that. And she had a lot of experience with them, and by the time she ended up with my grandfather, and they ended up, I think, in England before they came here, but cut to the chase, my parents ended up buying a house with them, 2-family, and for the first few months we moved in, my grandmother would not sleep in the house, and we moved in at the right time of year. She was sleeping on an upstairs front porch, safe, but just an open front porch, cot, blankets, the whole nine. And she's like, I won't sleep in the house. She basically told my father, is like, someone needs to come here, bless the house, something, not sleeping inside. He was like, all right.
Huh.
So, because I remember as a kid asking, hey, why are there random numbers and stuff above all the doorways? You know, in chalk. And then in the basement, there's a couple spots in the brick in chalk. And it was just random. I don't even remember. It was random numbers. It was like 1, 3, 7, 4, whatever, 5, 6 digits. And he was telling me, he's like, your grandmother wouldn't sleep in the house because she just felt unsafe. She didn't like the energy. She just wasn't happy in the house. So she slept on the porch for, I don't know how many weeks before a priest actually came by and did his thing. And then somebody else came by and wrote numbers over stuff. And I don't know. Like I said, I wish I could give you more, insight. I have no idea what they meant.
Right.
But after that,
Yeah.
she slept in the house, and we lived there for 20 more years, 18
Yeah.
to 20 more
Right.
years. Yeah, and that, and I've always, getting older, I've always thought about that. Like the basement was always one of those uneasy places there, But it's also like I grew up on I was the 10-year-old watching Chucky. All the horror movies.
Right.
My mom loved reading horror, Stephen King, anything that was like a horror type book. So those were always in the house. I grew up reading all those books. I watched all the shows, on all the unsolved mysteries when they were on TV, all that stuff. So I was always surrounded by that. So I always attributed it to that. But it was one of those houses that had like the full open attic. It's still stuff from the last people who lived there in the corner. Just kind of that weird stuff. But I remember my father telling me that story, and I was always like, well, that kind of makes sense. Being weirded out. I see the call here. I'm going to dismiss this. But yeah. But I still think about that from time to time. Every time I'm like coming out of my own basement at my house, I'm always like, I remember I used to have to like sprint up 2 flights of stairs, smash. We had those buttons where it's 2 dots. You push the bottom and the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because that's how old the house was.
Yep.
So I remember running up the stairs and smashing that button and just getting out of there. If you forgot, and there was lights in every section. You'd have to hit a button, go down, and the light's on here. You'd have to go down to this section and turn that light on, and then around the corner. And at the time we were just getting into music, so around the corner on the other side we used to have like band practice. So like if I was down there that night doing anything alone, you got to shut off every light as you go. And every time you turn the light off, it's pitch black and scary as shit behind you. So you're like click, and the next light, and the next light. Next thing you know, you're flying up the stairs, and you look back, and you forgot one of the lights, and you're like, nope. Yeah.
Nope, leaving that there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, either way, I mean, not every experience is seeing a full body apparition, in a rocking chair in your front porch.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it could be things like that where just like your brain's processing something and it's firing off this feeling that you just can't explain, and it's sticking with you. I mean, you remember that story like vividly.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I never forget that stuff. It's weird. Yeah, I always fall right in the middle. I grew up very open minded to all this stuff, but I always still fall right in the middle because there's so much like bullshit out there. And that's like what I love about you guys. Come off very genuine, and
Thank you.
The other gentleman we talked to, who's a part of another team that does this kind of stuff, he's very genuine. Like, but you want to see something, you're out there doing your thing, you're being honest about it, and you're doing it because you love doing it,
Right.
And I kind of like the fact that all that stuff blew up in the last couple decades, because now people like you are popping up who are like, I don't give a shit about that TV stuff. Like, you're doing your own thing. You're doing it for you. You're genuinely curious. You're not doing it because you're hoping A&E will call. And if they do, that's awesome. I would love for you guys to be successful at this. That would be awesome. But like, I feel like no matter what, you're just gonna do it anyway.
I think the thing is too, if I can add, is who we are on screen is who we are off screen.
Authentic.
That's the best way to
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it comes to experiences, I think like it's cool when the 3 of us can go to the same place, but we all feel different things. We talked about this, I think, on the other podcast we were on, when, like Corey's like the smell. Like Corey, is it Corey that usually smells something?
Yeah.
Corey will usually like smell something. Alan will usually hear something, and I typically see something.
I'm pretty keen on feeling. Like, I wouldn't say
too,
that I'm an empath, but I kind of feel emotions when I'm in a building, or stuff like that. But
And it kind of rolls off each other. Like Corey will like feel something, and then Alan will witness something, and then I kind of experience something, and then we go back to review the evidence. It's kind of in sequence, and it's just like it's just kind of like amazing how that all works out.
It's good. You guys are like pieces to a puzzle. You fit together.
Yeah.
You work well with each other, and like I
But
said before, how hard is that to find? Like to find that combination. One of you can't be off at all, or fuck the whole group up.
Right.
So it works out.
It's even better when we either, two out of the three of us experience something or we all do immediately, because we just give each other that look. Like in the most recent episode in Science Club, we always laugh about it to this day. So Corey and I were doing later in the episode, when it was pitch black, just night vision camera. We were both talking, to whatever he was quote unquote provoking, and just out of nowhere, we just hear like this voice go, It was nothing creepy, it was nothing scary, but we both looked at each other and was like, did you hear what that was? He's like, yeah. It was just like it was like weird, and like it's like we're the only guys here and we're all talking at the same time, and I highlighted that in the video or the episode too. And when we can both experience something, especially something fun, and connect on that, it's like, all right, that's what we're here for, stuff like that. Whether it's funny, sad, like when I watched Austin speak with Noah in the third episode, getting to witness that in front of me and see it the way that he's experiencing it, like, it's just it's almost like euphoric. Like, it's just like, wow, this is actually happening. And like, this is our eyes. This is not, film crew. So this is what we're seeing, and you're seeing it how we're seeing it
now.
And it's
one more quick question. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I know it might be a lot to do on film because you're already filming for hours at a time. Do you ever, try to go out and actually like debunk what you've heard or seen or anything? Okay, cool. Was there any moments where we went and you were like, oh, this stupid, window flopped open and like stuff like that too?
Mm-hmm.
I think in the most recent episode, in the Science Club episode, there was one thing where we heard two guys talking, and in the moment we thought it was like security outside or something like that. At the moment, we didn't think it was paranormal until we tried to debunk it, and then we realized it was actually something paranormal that happened.
Nice. That's got to be
even with the equipment. Austin did something with the forgive me, the green and red dial fucking meters.
Yeah, K2.
Yeah, you were like, Alan had must have put in a caption saying Austin debunking like the radar or whatever it is.
For anything that was giving off
EMF,
electricity, like any sort of like current. You know what I mean? That's why you'll see me kind of go like this, because like I was getting weird readings, and at the time Stephanie was getting readings, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
which I thought was bizarre. So I was just like, okay, so we used to we would swap K2s.
I remember that part from the episode. Yeah.
Which that was wild too. Because he's actively debunking, and it's like, all right, well, maybe it's just one's not working and one is, so let's swap them out. And what followed after that like whatever was attached to her at the time was just lighting this thing up. We try to debunk, like I said, we almost go at it science based, but we're not there trying to debunk, like we're not there to like prove it's all fake or whatever.
Right.
But when there's something that's so inexplainable, we go through the motions of, okay, did we step on this? Did this fall over because of wind or a lot of that stuff? If it's something really, really stupid, I'll cut it from the episode, because you don't need to know that every crack was me stepping on glass, something like that.
Right.
But
I think the biggest one was the most recent one when Corey and I saw that light outside.
Yep.
And debunking it for like you couldn't really see it as well as we did on camera. You know what I mean? But as clear as day, we saw that light at the end of the hallway. And we debunked it. We go to the end of the hallway to outside, and it was a drop. You know what I mean? Like there
was like the railing and then a drop.
It was a walkway that was covered by brush and trees. So like a 2-story drop to the road. You know what I mean? And I think that was right after we heard the voices.
It was,
Yeah, it was like right at the same time, yeah.
And there was no way. There was absolutely no way. And like you can see it in the video, like my brain processing, like, okay, this doesn't make sense. So how is this happening?
Like I was saying, during that whole thing happening, like my first thought was like, oh shoot, that's security, we're getting caught. And then you like slowly realize that like that's not a living human being doing this stuff. And then you realize that it was paranormal.
Like it's fall. There's leaves on the ground. We walk by 2 open doors on the ground floor. We would have heard people walking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then to the right, it's like a 2-story drop to the ground.
Yep.
It's just how can you explain that? Like,
that's just cool though. I liked that episode a lot.
Yeah. That was a fun one.
Sounds
a frustrating thing too.
Must be so magnified too when you're in a big building.
Yes.
It's just quiet at night.
It is.
And that was the only building we did. We did 2 buildings that night, but that campus has so many buildings. We didn't even touch the surface. We could go back we could go back so many times.
Yeah,
there's still a part 2. There's still a part 2 in the works that just Austin, myself, and Stephanie had gone to that I'll be putting together. But like they were saying, one of the most frustrating things is when we all see something and experience something, but the cameras just don't quite have it in frame.
Yeah.
I try my best to, like I said, kind of accompany visuals with what we're talking about. But again, it's like we like to have people experience what we experience, and if we can't get it, that's okay too, because that's what we're there for, to just document this stuff. But to have stuff like that go through the motions of debunking it, realizing that it was not people, not a flashlight, it was not this, that's when you're like, there's something really strange here, and it's a feeling you can't understand until you physically experience it.
Yeah.
I love that.
With that being said, you two should come with us some night.
Yeah,
absolutely. I would absolutely.
I don't want to bring in negative energy, but I'd be happy to join you.
I told that by them. I was like, I would really love to bring, I guess what we would call outsiders, onto the show and film with us and just see kind of how like they react and how they feel. And I think that'd be
I'd love to do that.
I feel like that'd be like a nice like twist to
definitely.
like how we go about the rest of Soul Seekers in the future, and just like bringing other people to the show, and just seeing how they react to all the energy, and kind of base it off of like how they're feeling and what they're witnessing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've always wanted to do that. That would be great to do.
You have our contact information.
For sure.
We do.
Sounds good. And Chris and I go back a little bit, so maybe we can bring some of our mutuals too. That'd be good.
Yeah, we got a lot of connections, so it works out.
Of course.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. I think we could probably wrap it up. I mean, everyone pretty good. I mean, okay.
Yeah, we could talk. We could talk for hours. That's usually how it goes.
I know.
Seriously.
But yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's all I really had. I genuinely respect what you guys do. I like it.
Thank you.
Like I said,
and we love that you guys. We love that you guys took the time to check it out and actually, take notes on it and stuff like that, because, like I said, we put a lot into it, and it's something we could be doing anything else, but passion into this kind of stuff. So even just a simple view on the video, or even a simple comment, just letting us know what you do like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see. We're open to anything. Give us criticism, let us know what
improvements. Yeah,
things like that. We just appreciate anybody who takes the time and goes out of their way to check it out, especially you guys. Having us podcast too. That's great. We love stuff like that. Kind of chatting with old friends and new friends, and just kind of discussing things that a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, that's what I love about doing this podcast right now. So far, we've been having fun doing it, playing around with getting guests. You're like our biggest group so far, is having the 3 of you on here, and this has been great. I mean, hour and almost 2 hours long. We're still going.
2 hours, yeah.
Like I said, I could keep going, but we can't get that crazy.
I know. I love that though, 'cause we just have the freedom to talk about whatever the fuck we want. So it was really cool that you guys were here.
Well, there's always you can always come back whenever you want us to.
I was just about to say we'll look forward to part 2.
Yeah.
So before we go, let's drop your socials. So what do we got? What's the group social?
Soulseeker Paranormal.any.
Everyone panicked!
I was just gonna let somebody else say it. So
Instagram is Soulseeker Paranormal.any.
Mhm.
Yeah,
you got that right.
Okay.
Cool.
No, so
now we just got recovered from like a year and a half of not using it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say. So we're getting back into it. So on YouTube, just look up Soulseekers Paranormal. Soulseekers is one word, and then NE at the end for New England.
Yes,
So
because there is another group called Soulseekers on YouTube.
Okay.
There is, yeah. So you'll see our logo is like our logo
K2
is like it's a K2 made out of a coffin with like a scythe behind it, and on Instagram also was correct, soulseekersparanormal.ne. And on Instagram, we're working on making a TikTok, and if anybody in the area, if anybody in the area, wants investigations, we don't charge. We do that as a passion.
Do you guys want to look at my basement? Could you check out
Sure.
the thing down there? I'm not even kidding you.
Right. So you can hit us up on the socials. We have, a business email, which is soulseekersparanormal@outlook.com. So shoot us an email and let us know.
Nice.
Yeah, the only thing we ask is if you do want to join, just be open-minded and just respectful. That's really all it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
And be comfortable on camera.
And follow and basically follow basic instructions, and just like that's really it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like it. I'll definitely link all the stuff in the description. It usually goes up. I mean, our podcast is pretty much everywhere. It's so easy to distro nowadays. I mean, I wish I had this back in like 2002. You know, I could put out a song on DistroKid and it's everywhere tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, and like I'll definitely link it all up in the description. We're on YouTube too, so everyone will get to see our lovely faces.
Cool.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we do our best editing. But no, I genuinely appreciate you guys coming on. I know Kayla was excited. She had a book over there and she took over.
I'm sorry. I already apologized a million times.
We could talk for hours. Right. Fine. We don't mind.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch. We'll definitely be in touch. Because I would so go out and do one of these things with you guys. Definitely.
Let's go.
Cool. All right.
I'm not kidding.
Sounds good, guys.
All right, you guys have a good night. Thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for having us.
Love you guys.
Take care, guys.
Bye, guys.
Be good.